Be your own best friend and talk about your dream. In other words, you've got to get over there into your escrow, or you've got to leave the subject alone altogether. Oh, did you hear that? You could never think about that again. Yeah. What are the odds of that? You could never think of that again, and everything that you want would come to you and relatively quickly. And it's only the fact that you do think it all the time, and you're thinking about it as it is rather than as you want it to be. So you got to tell a new story. You've got to begin telling the story that lets you get closer to your swirling vortex. Nothing ever turns out different than you expect. Nothing ever turns out different than you expect. Ever, 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 ever. Now, maybe we have a different idea of what expectation is, but expectation is the combination of desire merged with belief. So it's possible that your expectation could be more desirous while you were doubting. And so, in other words, that's a negative expectation. Or a positive expectation just feels rapturous. I'm going to get my story out there ahead of me, and then my life's going to catch up with it. I'm going to stop telling the story of what I've already lived. That's really what we're talking about here. Most everybody's living and then explaining. Most of you are historians. This is what happened. This is how long it took. This is what he said. This is what I said. This is what he said. There's your historians. Well, stop it. You have to become sort of prophetic. You have to become storytellers. You have to become the writers of the script. Imagine a Hollywood production, and everybody shows up and they say, well, what's this movie about? I don't know. Somebody's directing it. Somebody has an idea. They know where the story's going. They know how they want it to play out. They know what emotion they want to evoke from the people who will be watching it. You've got to write your script. You've got to tell a story. You see, that's what creation is. Creation is activating a vibration in advance of manifestation. And most people are activating in advance vibrations based upon history, and so the future keeps being just like the past because they keep telling the story of what's been going on, you see. So never mind what has happened. Tell the story the way you want it to be. I've lived enough life to know what I want. I've lived enough life to know what I want. And especially in the arena of relationships. Boy, have I lived enough life to know what I want and to know what I don't want. And I have to say, mostly I've been trying to be objective. So I tell it like it is. And in telling it like it is, I've got quite a bit of failed relationship piled up behind me. And there's a lot of stuff that I can look back and talk about. But I'm now realizing that as I talk about it, I just keep the failed stuff active in my vibration. And now it's occurring to me that a lot of what I lived over there has served me enormously well, because in knowing what I don't want, I know what I do want. I thought I knew who this person was, but I didn't know who this person was, and I'm not even sure this person knew who this person was. And there might have been some pretending going on. At a minimum, there was a lot of lack of communication going on. But the good news is, and this is the reason that I'm telling this part of my story, you say, the good news is, out of that came my keen awareness that I am so excited about hooking up with someone who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on, who knows exactly who they are, who's expanding like I am, and who's in love with life, and who knows that life is supposed to be fun, and who reaches for vibrational resonance with who he really is. So thank you for that miserable excursion and for the benefit that it has given me, because I am so clear about that. Sorry you don't know who you are, but by you not knowing who you are, I now know what I'm looking for. So it was worth whatever you went through to give me this. You abandoned me at the time that I needed you most. But when I think about it, I didn't really like you that much anyway. We weren't getting along all that well. And out of it came such strength and clarity from me by your selfishly doing what you thought was best for you. Instead of shining your spotlight of interest completely on me, you did what you thought was best for you. And in the long run, it turned out that it was what was best for me, because from it, I found greater strength and clarity and independence. And I also put into my vibrational escrow someone who wants to be with me. The relationship that I'm in the process of bringing to me, that's brewing over there, will be someone who wants to be with me as much as I want to be with him. And I'm exhilarated about what's coming forward, and I've got you to thank for that. And when something causes you to go there, take the hit of it, but then remember what rockets of desires that you launched, and then turn your undivided attention to that and tell that story. So that then the story that you begin to tell, the story of relationship that you begin to tell, goes like, I've lived so much, and so much has come from what I've lived, and I can feel that my vibrational escrow is brewing a very big way, and I know that I am now nearly ready to allow that relationship to come to me. And I think the reason that the relationship hasn't come to me, because I know I've lived enough that I've really created something wonderful, and I know that I'm often positive in my thought about it, and this is the thing that's been baffling me. I know I've been more positive than I have been negative, so why isn't it coming? And then I realize that the reason that it has not come, the reason that I have not let it in, is because I've lived so much that I so want this to be really good, and I have this little thing stuck in my vibrational craw that goes like, but what if I get duped again? What if I think this is the real one and it turns out not to be, and then it ends up not being what I'm really wanting? And now I'm beginning to understand that that cannot possibly happen to me, because of all that I've lived. I've created this wonderful vibrational escrow. I've come too far. I know too much. That cannot happen to me again. But that does explain why I have not been letting it come. I haven't been letting it come because that's the drum that I beat the most often. I don't want to fail again. I don't want it to be bad again. So the new story that you tell is, it's not possible for it to happen like that with me again, because now I know what's in my escrow. And every day, all day, I put more stuff in it, but I'm writing the list of what's in my escrow relative to this relationship. And here it is, and speak it often. Here it is. Someone who's in love with life, someone who's exhilarated about the day as I am, someone who wakes up every morning eager to have opportunities to expand still further, someone who is aware of his emotional guidance system and who tends to his own vibrational gap. As you tell that story, it is our promise to you that your escrow is ripe enough that with that story you'll move right in there. Very short time, you'll know. And when you meet this person, you will not have this feeling of, I'm wondering if you are the one. You will have this knowing you are the one. You will move forward so fast into this person's experience, and this person will move so fast into your experience, you will see no hesitation on the part of the other, and you will no hesitation on the part of yourself, because you are in his escrow as he is in yours. And when you're the only missing piece here, when you get in there, you'll hook up.
Hi, Abraham. My question is, how do we learn to trust or discern our good feeling thoughts? Because often I feel a lot of the times I've followed my impulse or my excitement and my enthusiasm, and it feels like the choices I've made have been the wrong ones, and have led to painful experiences. So it's always a doubt of trusting those good feeling thoughts are going to lead me to a good feeling place and not get me into trouble. Thank you.
Well, we're going to say to you something very blunt. If you find a good feeling place and you maintain it, you cannot get into trouble. So if you think you found a good feeling place and then it didn't lead to something that felt good, it's because you were not really in touch with the way you were feeling. That's how Esther ended up with shingles. She didn't realize until after the manifestation how tense and worried she'd been about so many things, because she was covering her tension up with staying busy, and she was covering her tension up with doing as many things as she could, thinking that she was moving in the direction of what she wanted. It's a constant state of redefining and refining, you see. This is an important thing that we want to say to you. You're doing better than you are giving yourself credit, or maybe even better than you are assuming now that you've heard our response to you. You're doing better than this sounds. but we really want you to hear this. If the score that you're taking is, oh, that feels better, rather than, oh, that felt better and now I won the lottery, or that felt better and now the relationship is turned around. In other words, if you can release the temptation just for a little while of trying to take this improved moment in time all the way to the finish line, and instead you will let the finish line be, that feels better, and then the finish line be, that feels better, and then the finish line be, that feels better, and then the finish line be, that feels better, you will start to really enjoy having thought that you put a negative emotion to rest. Stay with us. Only to discover that it got stirred up as it came at you from some other angle, from some other person, from some other conversation, from some other subject. And then you are able to find ease again. You're going to reach the place, some of you are already there, where your inactive box process, the inactive box process is this. I'm feeling some negative emotion. I'm aware of it. Could be big or small, doesn't matter. I'm aware of it. And I've decided that I want to soften this emotion. It's not so different than driving on a really bumpy road and then seeing an on-ramp to a nice smooth highway and deciding to take the on-ramp to the nice smooth highway instead of putting up with the ruts and bumps in this road. And we want to say to you, whether you know it yet or not, there is always an on-ramp to a smoother road. Why you don't take the on-ramp to the smoother road? Because some misinformed, bottom half of the scale person said to you, don't take the easy way. Struggle and suffer. That's the path to enlightenment and blessings. Someone who did not know the path to enlightenment kept you on a bumpy road and convinced you that the bumps are virtuous, and they are not.